Hello, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be posting a video that I wouldn't normally post, and this is a review for the Cat Cr308 CR mini hydraulic excavator by Diecast Masters in 1/50th scale. So we're going to be first taking a look at the details on the model. So if we put it more to the side here, you can get an idea of the side profile. There's two cat logos on the I guess you call it the left side, the left side, with with a warning decal there and some sort of small white dot, which I can't really make out what it is. There's also little rivets in the boom with little decal nuts and bolts to resemble the thing actually getting put together. These are decently well hidden and look pretty realistic I guess I wouldn't say realistic, but you get the point. These little things connecting the hydraulics to the rest of the boom they're well covered up, and they are pretty unnoticeable if you're just looking at it from a glance. And there's this mirror here. Now if we take a look at the back of the machine, there's a Cat logo there, as well as these little ventilation systems which are textured. So they aren't just completely flat like a sticker, they have a little gradient to them. As well as these door handles there. I think they would be lights, and some tooth ports there. On the top we have little nuts and bolts with some plates that were put on, and the hydraulic system. There is a little green decal on the back of the Cat, which I don't know what it is, but it looks pretty decent. The thing I have to say about this mirror is when I unpackaged it, I noticed it was kind of flip-flopped, and I don't know if it's completely straight, but yeah, I don't know if it's completely straight or not. It's supposed to be like that, maybe. But it's tilted a little bit too much down, because if you were in the cab and you'd look back, I don't know if you'd really see much at all. And it isn't hard plastic like the mirror. It is really soft and squishy. And on the other side, we have the same decals that were on this side, except on this side. On the front of the vehicle, there is actually probably position that a bit more like that. There we go. On the front of the blade, you can see little rivets where nuts and bolts would be put in real life, as well as with this tiny little light on the front. And there's another light there as well. And I think this big black piece, is a fuel container. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now I'll be taking a look at the functionality of the vehicle. So I'm rating this on a scale of, is it good for a still diorama, and is it good for stop motion? So far with the detail, it is actually pretty decent, and as always, usually Diecast Masters is good at putting detail and realism into their models, as well as functionality, which we'll be testing out right now. First and foremost is the boom. So the boom is like the main profile of this vehicle, because usually they're set back right behind the cab, but since this is a mini, it's set in the front with a little extra swivel point. So this swivel point moves a fair amount this way, as well as with a fair amount this way, because this thing is, and I don't want to say made, but is good at working in more tight, conjoined, more urban environments, which is why if there's something like here and you can't turn the cab, you can easily just adjust it there if you can reach. The boom does a significant amount of raising, and this one goes up a fair amount too. Going down has a fair angle of going downwards, and this thing can wrap completely around the underside of it. And I will say, well, this model is good and has good functionality so far. This piece is really tight right there to move the attachment in or out. And that's why I don't really want to cover it that much, is because, you know, it can't move that much. The front blade goes up and down as a front blade would. And if you tilt the vehicle this way, you can lift it up a really high amount. I don't know if it's really realistic, but it works. And the excavator can swivel around 360 degrees. That's going to hit the box. 360 degrees all the way around. And the turning is pretty tight, so you can leave it there and it won't move. And the tracks do turn on its thing, but on the other track right there, it did pop off because I did one rehearsing of the video before this, and it did pop off, so I'm not going to use that track. So yeah, the model seems to be good, and it holds really well, and it looks pretty good, and I think it would fare pretty good in stop motion. And we're going to be taking a look now at the other attachments. Since this vehicle comes with 1, 2, 3, and 4 different attachments. So first, we're going to be taking a look at the bucket that does not stand up on its own, the ditch cleaning bucket, or the light material bucket. So this thing is pretty simple, has some nice detail inside of it, and there's not much more to it. It's just a standard ditch cleaning bucket without any teeth, and is in black metallic, or metallic black. Put that back there. This is the standard bucket for it. It doesn't really have a lot much to it. It has teeth, and it can attach to the excavator. Now this thing is the one that I really kind of need to talk about. So this thing is an auger, or an auger drill, depending on what you call it. This thing is metal, but the auger is plastic, and it does not turn, and is quite wiggly. So be careful when putting it on or taking it off of the excavator, because this thing will most likely snap. Hasn't happened for me, but I'm just going to be really careful. But be aware, the drum does not turn, or the drill thing does not turn. And the hydraulic breaker, or the jackhammer, it does not actually have any function of the jackhammering, and is all die-cast metal. So overall, I would say this is a pretty must-get model if you want some smaller equipment. And as an added bonus, which I just found out before the video, if we place, actually I'm going to move these because it's pretty big. This thing, imagine the hydraulic brake as a bucket, can get up and lift onto a dump truck. So some people may not have the die-cast monster dump trucks and may have something made by like NZG or something. But overall, if it's shorter than these types of dump trucks, it will be able to load it. So the only other thing I have to talk about this vehicle is the cab. So the top of the cab was loose for me, and I couldn't find out why. But just as a thing, if you put the cab in, don't just leave it pressed down. I know it seems pretty obvious, but it didn't work for me, so I'm just going to do a beware. And so it's not really let loose. Overall, this model is a pretty good model. Again, I'd say it's a must if you want some smaller equipment. And that's all. See ya.